Good evening. So how many of you want to live an extraordinary life? Say aye. Awesome. Let me see a show of hands. How many of you have seen The Secret or read the book? Woo! Thank you. When I asked myself, how can I contribute to your lives the most? What came to my mind is maybe to share a bit of myself with you and a bit of what I've learned the last 27 years about The Secret, the law of attraction, but there's much more than that. The Secret is a phenomenon that swept the world, and it's just a part of a much bigger story. I'd like to share some of that story with you. We actually are not going to talk about business today, but we may talk about some of the philosophies behind what you need to think about, feel about, and do in order to earn the income that you want to earn, to have the relationships of your dream, to have the spiritual connection that I believe each one of us wants to have with whatever it is that you create in your life and whatever you believe is God in your life. If that's the case, let me see a show of hands. Absolutely. Life is so much more than just money. But let me take you on a journey. I'd like to take you on a journey. I'd like to read something to you that a 22-year-old man, young man wrote. A 22-year-old man wrote. It goes like this. If we can get the first slide up, I'll read this to you. You'll see a picture of this. It says, I will retire at age 45. My financial net worth will be $3 million. My goal 5 years from today is to earn or to have $300,000 in net worth by the time I'm 25 years old. Then my plan for achieving this will be to buy a home with a $30,000 deposit and continue to invest in real estate. Then it goes on to talk about the purpose in my life. And I go to talk about my financial goals a year from now, and then career goals, and then physical goals. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Well, I'm sharing this with you because I wrote this in 1982. Now, that may not be important, except I wasn't supposed to succeed. I went to grade 11 high school. They told me that if I didn't graduate, I wouldn't amount to much. And when I left school, the only people happier than me were my teachers. But here's what happened. I went to a seminar, a workshop just like this, but there were 9,800 fewer people. There were about 200 people in the audience. And the gentleman that was teaching about universal laws and the law of attraction and the power of the conscious mind and subconscious mind fascinated me to the point that for the first time I was willing to learn. I wanted to know more about the universe, about how this magnificence operates. And I wanted to know why he kept saying that I could have whatever I wanted in my life. So much so that I bought his goal-achieving program that I couldn't afford and started to write out my goals. I started to write everything out in the way he explained I should write it out, in the positive. And I asked, why should I do this? He said, because as soon as you write it out and as soon as you put a date on it, you're sending a message to the universe, but more importantly, you're giving your brain an instruction for what you want versus what you don't want. I thought that made a lot of sense. So I started to set goals, but more importantly, I started to learn the art and the science of achieving goals. So what are we going to talk about today? Yes, we'll talk a bit about The Secret, but I'm more interested in the science of, is it possible that every single one of you can make a decision today and change your life? Is it possible that you could write something down and you could take the right actions? Because writing it down for the most part is a waste of time. It's an exercise that's great and deductive and reasoning, but without taking action, which we'll talk about, they're going to take away your furniture. And so I started to set these goals, and I started to create a vision for my life, a vision for my health, a vision for my spiritual growth, a vision for the relationships I want, a vision for the career that I wanted. And for all of you with Prudential and other real estate companies, I started out as a 19-year-old high school dropout real estate agent. Now, why do I say that? Because at that time, I believed there was nothing else I could do. But I learned the art of helping people, the art of selling, the art of marketing. 100 days ago, 100 days ago, Ken and I were walking up Torrey Pines. He said, "You're not going to believe this." I said, "What?" He said, "Ernie Hahn and the Hahn family and Kathy Padilla, who works with Ernie, gave him the sports arena." He said, "What the fill in the blank do I do with the sports arena?" He says, "I'm a psychologist, and we help grieving families. We help young women reach their potential through our conferences." I said, "Well, that's easy. We do the secret to having your best year ever. And I'll call up some of my friends, you call up some of your friends. Let's bring some of the great people together to help other people." And so I made a few phone calls. He made a few phone calls. He called his great buddy, Ken Blanchard. Ken Blanchard called the wonderful, spectacular Tony Robbins, who's here. And they all agreed to help. Here's what I can share with you. We didn't know how this was going to happen. We had to figure out the what first. So write this down. The what always comes before the how. The what always comes before the how. And before we knew it, we had television stations willing to promote us. We had the radios willing to promote us. We had the newspapers willing to promote us. We had people here in town willing to promote us to help the foundation do what it beautifully does. 100 days ago, we set a goal, a vision, to have 10,000 people who would generate $1 million in revenue for the foundation. 100 days ago, with no idea how to do it. So if you are going to listen to us, here's what I want you to listen to. What is your financial goal for this year? What is specifically, precisely, your physical and mental goal for yourself for this year? What is your goal for your relationships with your significant other and others for this year? What is your career goal or vocation goal for this year? See, in about 11 and a half months, you're going to arrive at the end of the year again. Now, are you going to arrive at a place that you want and chose and did everything to get to, or are you going to say, "I didn't reach my goals again"? And so the first part of getting the universe to work with you, see, we work with two universes, basically. Actually one universe, but two elements. There's the physical world that we work with, that we've been given senses, hear, see, smell, taste, and touch. That gives us the ability to navigate and to operate in our physical world. But what do we know in the last 100 years, and specifically in the last 55 years, is there's another universe that's working at the same time. It's the non-physical universe, the spiritual universe, the quantum physics. Physics just means how very big things work. We have Newton to thank for the laws of physics that we can take a rocket ship and land it on the moon and time it within a fraction of a second. Quantum physics explains, or tries to, because it's very bizarre, how the stuff at the non-physical side of the world works. The stuff you cannot see works.